Hey friends, my name is Becca and welcome to my channel. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. We focus on all things middle grade literature here, specifically the first chapters of your favorite middle grade novels. Today we are going to be reading the first chapter of The Last Beekeeper by Pablo Cartaya. If you've watched my other videos, you may know that Pablo Cartaya is one of my favorite authors. He has also written The Epic Fail of Arturo Zamora and Marcus Vega Doesn't Speak Spanish, which were both phenomenal novels. If you haven't checked out Pablo Cartaya's books, I highly recommend. I do feel like this book was a little bit different from the other two books that I have just spoken about. This book takes place in the future, kind of gives us a little bit of a glimpse into what the world may or may not be like one day. I think you're really going to love it and enjoy it. I read this book about a year ago, but it still resonates, and I'm really excited to share the first chapter with you today. But we're going to start by reading the front and side cover, get a little bit of a synopsis on what this novel is going to be about. In a future shaken by climate disasters, Yolanda Cicerón knows that nature is something to be feared. While life in the valley is brutal and harsh, she dreams of leaving her farm to live in Silo, the most advanced town for miles around. But first, Yoly will need to prove she belongs in a place where only the smartest and most useful are welcomed. Between her razor-sharp wit and sheer determination, Yoly is well on her way, until she discovers her family can no longer afford her schooling. Forced to take matters into her own hands, she finds that the closer she gets to securing her future, the more she uncovers the dangers lying inside Silo's walls, ones that threaten the entire valley. As she cracks long-guarded secrets, Yoly, along with those closest to her, is put in grave peril, and the only chance of surviving may lie in the rediscovery of a long-extinct species, the honeybee. Can the last surviving beehive be the key to pulling the valley out from under Silo's thumb, or will the bees destroy what remains of Yoly's future? Honestly, I got goosebumps just reading that synopsis, and maybe it's because I've already read this and I know all the things that are about to happen, but this is a good one, guys, I'm telling you. All right, we're going to dive right in to the first chapter. There's a fun little picture here that goes with the first chapter, kind of giving us a visual of Silo, which, as they mentioned, is the most tech-savvy place to be. All right, chapter 1. Most people come to Silo without noticing the carved marks on the lower section of its largest tower. Except me. I always look for the scratches on the cylindrical steel structure whenever we come to town. Nothing seems to take them away. Not the tormentas that sweep through the valley in the winter, or the blistering calor that burns metal on the hottest days. Not the storms of polvo and lluvia and hail that come sporadic and brutal across the valley. Nothing seems to remove them from my sightline, like they refuse to be fully forgotten. A reminder, a memory I want to forget, but can't. I wish there was a way to make them disappear, to erase them forever. Every time I see the marks, I see how little is left of the world I once had. A time when Mama and Papa were with me, when fresas looked like actual strawberries instead of white marbles. I was little, only 6. 6 years later, and I still can't wipe out the memory. I'm like one of those newer generation V probes, smarter, faster, but still carrying around some physical reminders of an older model. That's funny. I hadn't thought about myself that way before. Come on, Kami says, walking through the town welcome center. The last time my sister and I came to Silo, we barely had enough of a harvest to sell 1 full crate of strawberries. Now we have more, but they look worse than ever before. Our rows of fields grow only tiny, pale fruit bulbs. The drones just don't pollinate like they're supposed to. But that's probably because we haven't gotten upgrades in over 2 years. That's like an eternity. The closed metallic garage gates buzz while our V probes are scanned. On top of the gate, there are two large solar panels. They're linked to smaller ones, excavated over the years, and reassembled along the walls that make up Silo, the most connected and technologically advanced town in the valley. The largest of the panels, a giant solar dish, powers the three silos that keep the valley online. The reflected sunlight creates pulses of light that transmit signals to the photoelectric cells that give energy to miles of fiber optic cables coiled inside the silo towers. They're the only towers in operation. There are a few older silos scattered across the valley like lifeless monuments, useless relics of failed connectivity. The only ones that work are the ones beaming from Silo. The sun blasts on the panels all day, even in the cold. There's no way we'll ever run out of power again. We won't ever have to be offline. Right before sunset, the glare from the steel towers can be seen for hundreds of miles. Mayor Blackburn says it's a beacon, a reminder that the town of Silo is always there when the night falls and the cold sets in across the valley, when hungry nightcats scavenge the countryside, when people stay inside. 5 motion cameras mounted across the garage gate blink and send a signal to our devices. Both of our V probes ring. I look up at my screen and see the Silo welcome penguin greeting us as we wait to be let into town. Silo's online system is big on extinct animal avatars. It assigned me a panda with my username. I'm not big on pandas. Any animals, really. They smell, and they're dangerous and unpredictable. I can change it though. The system's firewall won't let me. My V-Probe earpiece vibrates, and Silo's overly cheery concierge waddles across my screen and hums in my ear. Camilla Cicerón and Yolanda Cicerón of Lot 2506. Hola, proceed to your stand and have a productive day in Silo. The little penguin's eyes flash green, signaling the gates to open. My sister and I walk under the massive town welcome sign. ¿Qué haces? She asks. I look up from my V-probe and see Cammy staring at my screen. Just browsing Thai classes, I answer, really looking forward to my advanced Neuralink class. Yoly, Kami says like she's annoyed. Maybe you should take a break from school this quarter. I could use your help around La Finca. What are you talking about? I shoot back. I have been waiting to take this class for over a year, Kami. My sister tries to get my attention, but I'm still scanning for my Neuralink class. I know, but could we put a pause on classes for a couple of months? It wouldn't be the end of the world. We'll sell some fresas and then get you back logged back into the tech institution education. Technologically intuitive education, Kami, I interrupt. If you can't remember the name, just call it Thai like everyone else. My sister nods and I shake my head. She's so behind on upgraded technology. Kami is 12 years older than me, but she acts like she's 50 years older sometimes. 50 years ago, nobody was online. There was no power anywhere. A whole generation born into darkness. When I was born, the system had already been online for 10 years, and now it's growing with more and more applications and mods popping up every day. Mayor Blackburn says my generation will usher in the next technological revolution in human history, and I've got to make sure I'm part of it. I look back at the Thai application and I'm just about to click on it, but Kami always has to get the last word. Life's not all tech and upgrades, Yoly. There are other things to think about as well. I swear she turns on her Kamiist mama mode all the time. Why can't she just be my sister for once? I'm not a child anymore. Kami moves into town, shaking her head. I don't know what her problem is. She's been in such a bad mood lately. I look back at the welcome sign and then at the 3 rows lining up like giant metal guards outside of town. The 3 towers lining up like giant metal guards outside town. The system literally brought us back from the age of darkness. My sister should be more grateful. Just put the device down and help me set up our stand, she says without turning around. I watch as Kami unloads the crate onto a long metal table. I'm about to put my V probe away to go help her when it buzzes. Username ARE122107. Oi, que pasa calabasa? Kami huffs and shuffles her feet and then gives me a look. I know she's about to tell me to pick up a crate or something, but I can't ignore my best friend when she's pinging me. Arliss always calls me pumpkin or some other kind of food that people used to eat when she messages me. Her birth month is December, so she is the number 12 after her name. My birth month is January, so my number starts with a 0 and a 1. We've been friends ever since we started classes 6 years ago. She lost her parents a couple of years before mine, and we bonded over having annoying older siblings who act like our parents. She and her brother Cornelius live in a small house in the outer valley near the high mountains. Way too far to walk, and STVs are expensive. I ping her back. Yola, 012108. Que pasa, amiga? Did you register for Advanced Neuralink yet? ARE 122107. No, having trouble logging in. Too? Yola, 012108. Not yet. The system keeps sending me reminders, but Kami keeps telling me to wait. Ugh. She's so prasada sometimes. Arliss sends an image of a hippopotamus spitting water while it laughs uncontrollably. Nobody's seen a hippo for like 60 years. Not that I would want to see one even if I could. They're kind of gross. And I read they were really mean and aggressive. Kami slams a crate in front of me and stares. I look at her, then back at Arliss's hippo image, and burst out laughing. What's so funny? Kami asks. You look like a hippo with the face you just made, I tell her, still laughing. You're hilarious, she says dryly. Can you please put that thing down and help me? Arliss pings back. ARE 122107. You heading to Silo? Yola 122108. Here now, we're setting up our stand at the market. Let's see if we actually sell any strawberries this time. ARE 122107. I wish I got to spend time with my brother selling stuff. He's always rushing around, never lets me go anywhere with him. At least he's letting me help him with this one thing. Yola 012108. What is it? Arliss takes a moment to respond. I look at my V-probe stats to see if I've lost connection, but I'm not surprised to see that everything's normal. Silo is the only place in the valley with full connectivity. It must be coming from Arliss's end. ARE 122107. Hey, sorry about that. Anyway, it's cool you and Kami farm together. Yola 12108. Farming's the worst, like bleh to the max. I would love to work in tech all day. Nature is not my thing. My sister interrupts my conversation again by putting a little box of pale strawberries in my face. I shove it away and stare. Yoly, please put the device away, now. My face must show how I feel because when I look up again, Kami is staring at me with that irritating look she gives when she's losing her patience. Please chill with the eye roll, okay? She says, watching me, or I'll log you off the system. Yeah, right, I snap. You don't have the authority. Besides, the system doesn't care whether we sell some dumb strawberries or not. Just because she's my guardian doesn't mean she can just boss me around and tell me what to do whenever she wants. Sorry, can't excuse me, but nah, no way. Yola, 012108. Kami's acting like she's my mom again. Chat later. Let me know your class schedule the second you register. ARE 122107. Bueno, hasta luego, Carmelo. Arliss's polar bear avatar blows a giant kiss, which is kind of cute. Kind of. I'm about to put my V-probe back in my pocket when my screen buzzes and I see my school emblem flashing. It's like it knew Arliss and I were waiting to register. Yoly, my sister suddenly blurts out. No has ayudado con nada. You have literally been staring at your screen all day like a mindless drone. My probe flashes, and I see the school door open on my screen, telling me it's time to pick my classes for the semester. Well, this mindless drone is going to be a certified Neuralink surgeon someday and make some real money. I snap back. I just need to take one more class and then I'll qualify for an apprenticeship. Bye bye, fresas forever. I wave at a sad little strawberry, then scroll and click along the virtual school halls. I find Advanced Neuralink and add it to my cart. I click on the bag icon and start the checkout process. Arliss must be logging on this very second. I want to see our avatars pop up in class at the exact same time. I swipe the icon to pay and see a huge sign shooting across my screen. Registration denied, insufficient funds. Kami, it's denying access. I think something went wrong with the credit transfer to the system. Kami's face changes, like the stress of the whole world is landing on the dark circles around her eyes. I press her for answers. You didn't transfer the money, did you? I pace around the small space in our stand, waiting for my sister to explain. And finally, I slam my hand down and demand she answer me. Kami, say something. You know how important this is to me. Why aren't you helping me? Basta, Kami yells out. I look around and notice a few people staring. The cameras posted on the lamps along Main Street train on our stand. Kami yelled so loudly, it made the system pay attention. All you've done is stare at your V-probe all morning. You haven't helped me unload una fresa, ni una. And now you're telling me I am not helping you? If you would spend a little time off your screen and more on what needs to be done in order to pay for your screen time, then maybe we would be in a better position to afford things like your Thai class. I don't say anything. Kami doesn't usually go off on me like that. Like, she nags me to do stuff all the time, but she rarely ever yells. This isn't some simple credit transfer issue with the exchange. Something is wrong. I log off the school site and put my V-probe in my pants pocket. People go about their business again. The cameras adjust back to monitoring Main Street, and I'm left in the quiet wake of my sister's outburst. Are we okay with money? I ask, softening my tone. No, Kami sighs, then tries her best to organize the pinkest looking strawberries in the front for display. There aren't many. She digs into her jacket and pulls out a protein bar, taking a bite, then gulping a sip of water from her label. She found the jacket at her retreat 7 years ago. It has more functions than any wearable tech around. Tiny nano cams that can be activated to make the jacket look invisible. Deep inside pockets to hide stuff, and it even makes its own water. I keep looking at the coat. It's the most advanced tech we own. Maybe she can sell the jacket. We'd probably get a lot of money for it. We could use some of the profits to pay for school if there's any left over. As if reading my thoughts, Kami jumps in and crushes the idea. Hundreds of these jackets are brought to the reposing labs every week, she said. They get disassembled, and then the microchips and techs are used for other things, and then the jackets get burned. She points to a building down Main Street with a large chimney blowing smoke from the roof. There's no use for the fabric, she said, only the tech and metal pieces. Then how come you got to keep the jacket? It's a reminder. Of what? Kami watches me for a moment, then moves to the front table to wait for customers. Silence fills our stand as the noise from the street picks up with more people visiting the market. I remember seeing my sister, dusty jacket, hair in tangles, boots muddy and worn, walking up the front porch steps. Her left hand was shiny and spindly, an augmented prosthesis, I noticed immediately. I hardly had time to ask her about it because she marched in and told me the worst news any kid could ever hear. Mama and Papa are gone. Exiled, my sister said, moving back into our house. They're not coming back. Nobody can survive outside the valley. There's no power out there, nothing to keep you from freezing to death within minutes. Exile is the worst punishment anyone can receive. The rest of that day was hazy, scattered memories, My sister gave no further explanations, never shared what my parents could have possibly done to receive such punishment. All she told me was to not be late to log into school. They'd kick you out if you don't log in on time, she said, and then disappeared into her room. That was the last time Kami talked about our parents. For 6 years, all she told me to do was to go to school, help around the house, and don't talk about what happened. I know it's because Kami finds the past too difficult to remember, but sometimes I can't help but think there's something more. Another reason why she doesn't like talking about our parents. I look at my sister. She's busy lining up the little white and pink strawberries for display. She hands me an empty crate. I take it and stare at it for a moment. Technology is used to help us. We program it. We control what it does, not like nature, which produces whatever it wants. Once I finish my last Thai class and an apprenticeship, I'll be able to get my Neuralink medical certificate. Then I can rely on my training to make a living, enough for both Kami and me. No more counting on nature to produce some crops so we can live. Advanced Neuralink is my way out of farm life. I have to find a way to pay for school. All right, that was the end of the first chapter of The Last Beekeeper. So obviously, Kami has some information that she is not sharing with Yolanda, and it likely regards why their parents were exiled. A lot goes on in this book, big topics that I believe are very relatable to the world we're living in today. I highly recommend checking this book out. And if you enjoyed this First Chapter Friday, please consider liking and subscribing so that you can be notified every time we have a new read aloud. All right, everyone, until next time, happy reading.